I I thought I'd make a very quick video um, about the aftermath of this Zelensky-Trump fight, Zelensky-Vance-Trump fight, because I think it's such a significant event. Uh, 28th of February 2025, the meeting between Donald Trump, the Ukrainian President Zelensky, which was meant to solidify cooperation on Ukraine's post-war recovery and mineral resource exploitation. Instead, it descended into an extraordinary Oval Office confrontation, highlighting the deep tensions in US-Ukraine relations, the uncertain trajectory of the war, and the fact that Trump and Vance are basically bullies, and Zelensky was determined to hold his own. And witnesses in the room describe an unprecedented diplomatic spectacle as Trump, joined by Vice President J.D. Vance, engaged, I think that was actually the other way round. Vance started the bullying and Trump then joined in, engaged in this heated exchange with Zelensky. Trump and Vance accusing the Ukrainian leader of being insufficiently grateful for American military and financial support. Zelensky, on the other hand, insisted Ukraine had stood alone in the early days of Russia's 2022 invasion, a claim that Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova mocked as the biggest lie of all his lies. Well, she's a shit anyway. And Trump abruptly cut the meeting short, telling reporters that Zelensky wants to fight, rather than seek a resolution. And the president dismissed the notion of continued US involvement, declaring that peace could be achieved immediately if Zelensky expressed a willingness to negotiate. Or capitulate, I think is what he really means. His offhand comment about letting Ukraine and Russia fight it out alarmed European allies and threw further uncertainty into the Western strategic response and position. The French President Macron swiftly contacted Zelensky after the confrontation, though the Élysée Palace has declined to share details of their discussion. The NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has also reached out, likely aiming to reassure Kyiv of continued support. The British Prime Minister has had separate calls with both Trump and Zelensky, reaffirming Britain's unwavering support for Ukraine, and his government remains committed to upholding Ukrainian sovereignty, a stance that contrasts with Trump's increasingly detached approach. Starmer will host an international summit on the crisis featuring Zelensky, underscoring Britain's role as a steadfast ally. And following the clash, Trump has delivered a chaotic press statement on the White House driveway before departing for Mar-a-Lago. On CNN, in a Turkish media, he said that if he wants to, he was asked, does he want Zelensky to resign? And he equivocated a little. He said he could make peace if someone else was there. If he needs peace now, it was not clear, but the impression given was that he'd be quite happy for Zelensky to resign. He reiterated the view that Zelensky had overplayed his hand. He continues with these card-playing references and overplaying his hand as if he's these hand references as if he's somehow channeling Liz Truss, accusing the Ukrainian leader of prioritizing war over peace. That's not what Zelensky is doing. Zelensky is taking a principled stand on behalf of his country in the face of an aggressive neighbor that has terrorized the country and has invaded the country. And Trump's remarks fuel speculation about a potential US policy shift should he secure a second term, or third term, whatever we want to call it. And should he continue on this on this drive? Should this play out for years and years and years? It's Trump's insistence on an immediate ceasefire and a rejection of further US entanglement hits at a broader strategy of disengagement, leaving European allies scrambling for contingency plans. it is extraordinary, Trump's direction. That there's been speculation about whether he would stand for a third term, because in principle, the American president should only stand for 2 terms, but that's 2 consecutive terms. Trump is out of kilter in so many ways. The Kremlin has wasted no time in capitalizing on this spectacle. The former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev gleefully labeled Zelensky an insolent pig and praised Trump's slapdown of the Ukrainian leader. Russian propagandists have framed the event as a sign of American disillusion with Kyiv. There's a new push against the troops holding the Kursk region, but at the moment the line is holding. And others, including the journalist Ilya Ponomarenko, decried the treatment of Zelensky, condemning Trump's attempts to publicly humiliate him. Lviv Regional General Maxim Kozitsky compared Zelensky to Richard the Lionheart, casting him as a defiant wartime leader. But this episode has far-reaching implications. Trump's apparent willingness to withdraw support for Ukraine, or at least significantly alter its terms, could A, embolden Russia, B, lead to a conflict that goes on for a further 5 years or more, well into a second Trump presidency, or it could, as Trump says, start World War III. European leaders, especially Macron and Starmer, may now need to assume a greater role in the diplomatic process and military aid, and the upcoming summit in London will be pivotal in determining whether Western unity can withstand Trump's unpredictable manoeuvres. And I think also we're going to hear very shortly from President Erdogan, who will undoubtedly try to broker a peace deal in either Ankara or in Istanbul. For Zelensky, the challenge remains a challenge of survival as Kyiv fights for its life. It must navigate an increasingly fractious Western alliance, a slightly insane president in the White House, matched by an equally bumptious and horrific vice president. I think one can only hope and pray that Donald Trump survives for the duration of at least this term, because the thought of J.D. Vance at the helm behind the resolute desk fills me with even greater horror. This balancing act, balancing strategic necessity with the volatile temperament of the key partners, the February the 28th meeting will be remembered as a watershed moment, either as a prelude to intensified Western division or as a spark that galvanizes Ukraine's allies into firmer, more coherent action.